All right here, so we're going to do a short video on what we mean by the transaxle mount in one of these cars. Now the transaxle hangs from a crossmember in the back of the car, and these two holes have really long bolts that go through here and the aluminum part of the trans mount. That's isolated by rubber to another aluminum piece that is bolted to this cross member. Here's the cross member here. So you can see this would be facing that way, I think. Yeah, has to be, because this is the mount for the fuel pump wiring. It's a one of them little plastic clamshell thingies that usually break, but this one's still in pretty good shape, so we're going to keep it. So this is the cross member. Those are the four bolts that hold the mount in, and this is the mount. Right now it's hosed down with some PB blaster so we could get all the bolts loose. All the bolts are broke loose now, but basically you've got this aluminum piece which is bolted to another aluminum piece, and it's in rubber here. It's kind of hard to see. Get some sun in there, but as you know, and your rubber gets to be 30 plus years old. And this doesn't seem too bad, really, but the dilemma. This piece is pretty expensive if you try to buy it. And that's the factory rubber one. And from what I've seen, read, heard from people who have been building 944s for a long time, it's not the greatest thing in the world. So the other option is some aftermarket companies make an aluminum one that's pretty much solid and mounts on four rubber pucks. But also what I've been told is when you install one of those in a car, you tend to get a lot of vibration transmitted into the car. And I've also heard that you start breaking stuff. So I'm thinking with the V8 in there, this is probably not strong enough. I mean, an original factory new one. And I don't really want vibrations, and I don't really want to break stuff. I mean, you might break stuff anyway. It does have a V8 in it. So anyway, the third option, which I've read a lot about, and actually the guy who rebuilt my transaxle recommended I do this, is you take this mount, you unbolt it from here, you make, I mean, you could even build it out of tape or something, just so you basically make it so you can pour something in here, and you can buy urethane that will pour and set. So that's what a lot of guys do. They'll just take this part off and remove this, put this in a container, or that's the same size, or make it out of cardboard or tape, whatever you got, and just dump the urethane in there, and making sure you don't mess up any of the bolt holes or anything. And it makes basically a new mount. You got to clean it up real good first. So that's what we're doing right now. We're taking it apart, so then it'll get cleaned up real good, and we'll get some of that urethane goop and try this. I'll put a link in the description of what the stuff is and where I got it from. One guy suggested on Renlist, I think, to use Durometer 80 urethane. Durometer, if you don't know, is how hard something is, how stiff something is. It's kind of like, same thing as Rockwell hardness for like bolts and steel and stuff. Durometer is for, you know, more flexible material. So that's the current plan. I'd like to have that done this weekend because this is really the only thing keeping us from putting the transaxle back in the car. And we all know, once the transaxle is back in the car, we can go for a ride. And that's really what it's all about. One other thing I'd like to add. So I just took the 4 bolts out. I also took the other part of the mount off. This is the part that bolts to the transaxle. And I didn't realize it, but these pieces actually capture everything. So I didn't realize that they were separate. So they come off, and this comes out, and looks like that. And you see this is got kind of a C shape in there to grab a hold of those things. So that's it. Now what we've got to do is clean it up and get some urethane and coop it all together. Just for reference, to remove the crossmember, you have to first, this is the fuel pump mount. The heads on these nuts take 10 millimeter, and that basically is the rubberized mount for the stock fuel pump. And these end bolts have 17 millimeter heads, and they're about that long. So yeah, that's how you take it out. If you have the transaxle out already, it's pretty easy. If the transaxle's still in the car, you can actually lower it down and get those 2 bolts out, get the fuel pump unbolted, and you can wrestle it out of there apparently. I've seen it done on YouTube. I thankfully won't be doing that because my transaxle's right there. So okay, I'll get to cleaning. Well, I guess this isn't going to be a short video. It's going to be a little longer. Well, this is about as clean in these parts as going to get for tonight. There's our funky trans-mounty thing. Let's see, it's actually got numbers in here. Yeah, there's the 944 part number. 944-375-04504. And this is the mount. It's probably got a 951 number on it. And your 2 clamshell-y things. The crossmember came out real good. Shoot. That's pretty enough that we just might, while it's all nice and clean, hose a little black paint on it. Make it even prettier. Alright. Back to it.